All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. It's my first official show of 2025. And I honestly can't think of a better guest to start the year with than my dear friend Bill Gibson, who's been a friend coming on 40 years. And I've been a fan for even longer than that. Bill, of course, is one of the founding members and the drummer for Huey Lewis and the News. And now, most recently, he's the drummer for Sons of Champlin, of course, the great Bill Champlin. And we were just having a chat about that. So we'll no doubt talk about that during the show. But without any further ado, I'm going to welcome the man you're all here to see, my dear friend, and the great Bill Gibson is here with me.
Hi, John.
Hi, Bill. Great to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here today, man. A lot of folks are here to see you, so thank you.
That's very kind of you. Hey, could we get some the real serious business out of the way first?
Let's do it. Yes.
When do I get my T-shirt?
As soon as we're done, I'm going to pack one up and mail it to you.
Awesome. I got to have one.
You got to have one. All the cool kids get one. So
yeah, I want a white one.
Oh, a white one. That might take a little while.
That's okay. I got all the time in the world.
All right, man. All right. It's wow. First of all, I want to congratulate you again on playing with Sons of Champlin. And I just mentioned that during the introduction. That's, a somewhat recent gig, but everybody watching here, no doubt, is familiar with your iconic playing, masterful playing with Huey Lewis and the News. And so we'll probably talk about that a little bit today too, Bill.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I remember that.
I told you, I sent you a picture. I of all places, I bumped into Huey in Florida a couple of years ago, and he was there fishing. And I'll just tell this quick story. I know I told you this, but my wife and I and three other couples were having dinner at this place. We were in Boca Grande, Florida, where our friends have this beautiful home, and they invite us every year. And I had my back to the door, and I hear the unmistakable voice of Huey Lewis. He has that voice, that baritone. Can't miss it, right? And I'm chatting. It was my wife's birthday. It was Kelly's 60th birthday, so we're out celebrating. And of course, my wife, and where she looks at me, she said, "There's a guy who looks exactly like Huey Lewis." And I was just about to say, whoever that is behind me sounds just like Huey. So I went over and said hello. He goes, "Oh, man." And of course, your name immediately came up. He said, "Have you talked to Bill lately?" And I said, I haven't, not very recently, but I need to reach out. And anyway, just great. And
yeah.
You're always on my mind, buddy.
Oh, you as well. For me, we go way back, man.
We sure do.
We've known each other a long time.
I know. And
I've always considered you probably one of, if not my best friend in the music industry, definitely top three.
Oh.
So
thank you. Yeah. That I'm so honored, Bill. That's unbelievable. Before I met you, I've told you this, but I was such a fan, man, as a drummer and playing in a top 40, been covering a bunch of your songs, right up until just a couple of years before I met you, in the 80s, and I moved out to LA, and then I started working in the business. And I remember meeting you for the first time at a NAMM show, and I was kind of like, I was kind of geeking because there you were, and you were so Bill Gibson. You were so like, "Oh man, good to meet you." You were just so chill, so cool, and then we bonded and became buddies instantly.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that, man. It's seriously, really,
Thank you.
Talking about gratitude here in my old age, and there's a lot. I have a lot to be grateful for, and you, my friend, are certainly one of the reasons why I am. So,
well, thanks
for your friendship over the years.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you. I mean, I'm honored, and I was just saying before we went live today that I still so often I'm listening to your music because it's so timeless. And the great thing about it is you can, for me anyway, as a drummer, I can still hear things that I might not have heard before in your playing, just some little nuanced thing that I might have missed before. And I think there's so much more to your playing than I think a lot of people realize. You know, I mean, it for some people it might sound, I don't want to use the word simple, but there's like, which we talked about the first time I had you on my show back in 2020, like just little things you do on the hi-hat, little, like during Power of Love, that little, during the instrumental section, you're playing all those little things that just kind of give it a little different twist. And we'll play some of those songs today too. And maybe just talk about your ideas and how you came up with them.
Sure.
Great.
Sure. Sounds good.
Great. Got lots of folks tuned in and let's jump back a second, Bill. I know you've told this story probably 10,000 times, but the formation of the band of Huey Lewis and the News was two bands that basically came together.
Right.
In the late 70s.
So Johnny Cola, our sax and guitar player, and Mario Cipollina, our bass player, our original bass player, we played in a band called Soundhole, and this was here in California in Marin County, just north of San Francisco. Huey and Sean, our keyboard player, were in a band called Clover from Marin County here. As a matter of fact, Huey and I were in 7th and 8th grade together in Mill Valley. We grew up in Mill Valley. And we are all friends first, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd known all the guys in Clover since high school. So we were all friends first and musicians second, really. And Huey was in Clover, they broke up. They went to England in 1977, and to ostensibly to record. They got a deal with Phonogram Records to record 2 albums, and that's where they met Mutt Langer. He produced their albums over there. And Huey tells a funny story. The day they landed in London was the day the Sex Pistols broke. And so they were out playing the pubs there in London, but it was all punk at that point. And here's this kind of country disco band from San Francisco, trying to get over on their shit. And they went out on tours. They toured with Lynyrd Skynyrd. They toured with Thin Lizzy. That's how Huey met Philip Lynott. They toured with a couple other big bands over there, and they would get booed off the stage every night.
Oh my God.
So they came back after 2 years of living there and slogging it out. They came back to California and immediately disbanded. And by that time, our band Soundhole had disbanded. I was playing with Jack Cassidy in SVT, which was like a pop punk band, at the time, 77. And so we just decided to kind of go like that. Our favorite players from each band, we just and put the 2 bands together, and that was pretty much it.
And it really, I mean, I know it, like everything else, it took a minute for things to sort of get rolling, but you guys, I mean, really, if you formed in say 79, 80-ish by sorry about that. By the early 80s, you guys were up and running. I mean, you were.
Yeah, we've actually formed, we were playing this Monday Night Live deal at a local club, which was just like a variety show. We had a core band, and it was most of the guys in the News with a couple other friends, and we would have like Boz Scaggs and Tommy Johnston from the Doobies come in, and Ricky Lee Jones and Van Morrison, and we'd back them up. They'd do a couple of tunes, so we'd back them up. So that's how this formation started playing together. Then in 79, we started writing songs, and we started demoing them up and going, hey, we might have something here. And we played them all for our manager, Bob Brown. And he took a fancy to us and put us all on $50 a week retainer to quit all the bands we do. Like, I quit SVT. Mario quit It's a Beautiful Day. He was playing with It's a Beautiful Day. Sean was doing a movie in Montana, Heaven's Gate. He was doing this movie. Huey was delivering Natural Foods in San Rafael. Johnny was playing with Sly Stone. And Chris, our guitar player, was playing with like Dave, Pee Wee Ellis, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And we all quit what we were doing on the same day and formed Huey Lewis and the News. And Bob put us on a $50 a week a piece retainer, and we just started writing. And by 80, we put our first album out in 80, and that sold 16 copies. then we went to then we started recording our second album in 82, and we knew we needed a hit. So Mutt Langer sent us "Do You Believe in Love," and we recorded that and put that out, and that was on our second album, Picture This, and the rest really is history. I mean, it just took off from there.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, that was my first really introduction to the band. Although then I sort of went back to the first record had "Working for a Living" on it. Is that second record had that? Okay, okay, yeah. But there was something on the first record that you guys play all the time, though. Would play all the time. I thought
Some of My Lies Are True, maybe.
Yeah,
Sooner
maybe.
or
Okay.
later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We did that one a lot live. And
but I mean,
it was Trouble in Paradise on the first album.
Maybe it was Trouble in Paradise.
Might have been Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say, I mean, and the timing couldn't have been better with MTV happening like in the fall of 81, but really exploding in 82. And the video for "Do You Believe in Love" was just like, I just remember the heavy rotation and what a great, I want to play that in a minute too. And I want to make a comment too, that I think some people that are watching are kind of saying the same thing, but when you mentioned like all you guys playing in all these different bands, that makes so much sense to me, Bill, because like right out of the gate, you guys sound like a band of like all these, I mean, you're all accomplished players. I mean, it's a band of just like superstar musicians across the board, everybody. Mm-hmm. And for you to play with Van Morrison and Jack Cassidy and all the gigs that you guys were doing. I mean, it made the perfect recipe for the News to be this like super group of guys, of players.
Yeah. Yeah. We, I played with Van. Soundhole backed up Van Morrison in 1974. That was my first tour. And, so that was a real experience, obviously, for a young kid, because we were all babies back then. We were 20, 21 years old. And so that was a fantastic learning experience. And not to mention kind of just put it in my head, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. Because, we went back east and played a bunch of big I remember playing the gym at Notre Dame University in South Bend. And, there was 10, 15,000 people there. And I went, wow, that was unheard of for me, And so it was scary as hell, but informative and life-changing for me, life-altering.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be. And you guys were just young guys, early 20s, if even that. I mean, Chris is a couple of years younger than the rest of you guys, I think, right?
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Well, Chris was. Yes, Chris is younger than most of us.
Yeah, man. I'm just saying, it just had to be such life-changing and a thrill. And I know from talking to you and knowing you like I do that, like from that period of 82 until probably 1989 or 90, you guys just were nonstop, just working all the time.
Yeah,
working for a living.
Physically not home.
Yeah. I mean, which is what you have to do. I mean, for anybody watching, I mean, that's what it takes to make it happen. And then, sports comes along in 1983, 84, and that's all of a sudden, that you can't go home at that point.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's how it happened back then. But I really don't know how it happens nowadays.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to another friend of mine who'd done a lot of touring, and he was saying, I don't think I'd want to be touring nowadays. And I said, you know what? You're probably right. It's way different. Because, John Pierce, our bass player in the News, who played with us when Mario left, he'd actually been with us longer than Mario was.
Yeah.
John plays bass with Toto now, right? And he's been on the road constantly. Those guys work constantly. Yeah. And he says it is not like it used to be. So he says, kind of be happy that it ended with you guys when it did.
Yeah. On a high note. No, I know. And when you think about it too, I mean, Toto, I mean, they're not traveling like the average person has to. I mean, they're traveling well, right. But that just gives you an idea of just how hard it is now to be out there because, it's really hard. I mean, it's
different. It's just different,
Yeah. Yeah.
Different.
Well, let's play a little bit of "Do You Believe in Love" and and just talk about that. There's a great drum part that you play during the chorus where you're kind of playing sort of an offbeat thing on the ride cymbal. Are you playing like almost a?
Refresh my memory.
Okay, let's play it, and maybe I need to have my own memory refreshed, but that's highly possible here. So apologize. Well, maybe they were eighth notes, Bill. I don't know why I thought there was like a
that song is a study in quarter and eighth notes.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's beautiful. And someone asked the question, Jeffrey Lang, and I think I know the answer. It's you and the entire band are doing the backup vocals. You guys, I mean, everybody in the band, maybe except Mario in those days, but everybody in the band sings, right? Sang.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Harmonies were, and that was another thing too. At the time, I hadn't heard anything other than like, classic R&B stuff and the stuff that you guys are influenced by that, but like in 1982, you weren't hearing harmonies like that on the radio in a pop.
We were heavily influenced by the Beach Boys, and really that's where we got all our stuff from.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Those harmonies are just lights out incredible. And I've heard you guys do that song live many times, and the vocals were always on the money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
incredible.
one thing we did. We did that well, amongst other things.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that really sort of, like, as you said, I mean, that was the breakthrough that opened the door, and that kept you guys working on the road. And you started writing sports in 82, 83. Was it around that period?
Yeah. I remember Huey and Johnny came up with the Heart of Rock and Roll. We were on the bus. We were doing a big club tour, backing up. Picture this, and we were in Cleveland, and we played the Agora Ballroom in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
And we were driving out of town the next morning, and they came up with Heart of Rock and Roll in the tour bus. We had a little Fostex cassette 4-track that we would jot down our ideas on. I remember doing the ideas, playing on my legs, and
Man.
you would lip skip it, and so
that's
how we came up with a lot of that stuff.
And did a lot of those songs, did they evolve? Like, was like you had a basic idea, and then, like, were you playing some of those tunes live during shows before you recorded them to sort of form them? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, we rehearsed. That was back in the day when we would, every day that we weren't working, we would get together and rehearse and come up with new stuff and work on new ideas. And it's interesting because we had that out. We had the sports album totally recorded in 1983, early 83. And we were, but Chrysalis, our record label, was in complete disarray. Terry Ellis and Chris Wright were at each other's throats. The business was falling apart. And we knew we had a good record. So our manager, Bob said, we're not giving it to you until you get your business together. Right. Yeah. So I remember Huey literally had the 2-inch masters under his bed for about 6 months. And we did a tour. We did the Working for a Living tour. We went out and toured clubs for 6 weeks and played all this stuff live. And it got to the point where when we got home, we were playing it so much better than we had recorded it previously that we went back in and re-recorded Heart of Rock and Roll and a handful of other ones after that little club tour because we were playing them much better.
Wow. And so changed arrangements and made tweaks?
No.
Just
changed, tweak stuff, tweak parts.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Tweaked parts, not necessarily the arrangements so much, but we definitely tweaked some parts. And everybody was familiar with it, We could play it much better. So
I get it totally. Yeah. You had the benefit of like having really shedded them to the point where played
it every night on live for 6 weeks, which was great. I wish we could do that before every album.
No, man. I mean, that was the incredible thing about you guys is that you never lost that, like even playing the big places that you played, you never lost that like bar band hunger kind of thing, and that like that, like you were like a polished bar band, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
But I can't tell you how many reviews I've read that said that we're a polished bar band.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's cool.
Yeah, no. And I mean that in the sense that like, there's just like the energy, you know what I mean? You never, some bands, when they get to a point, I won't say they phone it in, but that they're a little more relaxed about things, but you guys were always just, 200% all the time, playing to the guy in the very back of the room. Yeah. And all those things you do when you're like a young band starting out to get your fans going, Oh
yeah, it was fever mine there for a few years.
Oh man. So you go in and re-record sports, but was there still like some snags with the record company at that point, or was that finally all worked out, or?
It finally all worked out. They signed, who did they have? They signed Pat Benatar, I think, at the time. And she had a big record, and that kind of started to pull them out. And then we gave them sports, and that saved them. I mean, that just all of a sudden they were roaring, and they signed a bunch of great new bands and had a major success. Chrysalis was very successful back in the mid '80s, and so that we really helped them, and obviously they helped us. And you mentioned MTV earlier. That was huge for us. That was really, really big for us because we were one of the first bands that, like you say, were on heavy rotation on
all
MTV.
the time.
And that was the reach that got to the public was amazing.
Yeah.
So that helped us out a lot.
It really did. I mean, and it's kind of amazing, isn't it, that it was such not to get off on an MTV tangent, but I still kind of scratch my head on how it was such a force for a long time. And those of us that worked in the business side of it, it was such a vehicle to get you'd be up there playing Zildjian cymbals and that was great for us and at Zildjian. And then MTV just sort of went this other direction that I still scratch my head on why that happened. And when I think there could have been a longer shelf life to that platform, but I don't know. It's I agree. They went like reality TV or something, right? Yeah,
and still called it music television.
I know. Yeah, I never really got that, and that's maybe for another
not for us to get.
Right, not for us to get, but man, we all got sports. I mean, that record had 5, or did it have 5 singles on it? I think I made
5 top 10 singles. Yeah,
5 top 10 singles. I mean, that's more than, and the record had 9 tracks on it, 8 or 9. So it had more than half the record were singles. I mean, it's incredible. And
it was the second largest selling album of 1984, and to Thriller. Thriller was number 1.
Yeah.
But we sold more than Born in the USA, Purple Rain. There's a ton of iconic albums that came out that year.
Yeah,
and we were right up in the middle of that, so we're very proud of that.
That's absolutely something to be proud of. I was going to say Thriller. I mean, that's that's a tough one, man. That's if that hadn't happened, you guys would be. At the very, very, you're still at the top of the mountain, but
but those albums had machines in back of them,
Right.
Michael Jackson had a whole machine. Springsteen had a whole machine. Prince was an enigma, he had his machine. And we had 6 guys from Marin County who recorded our albums in Sausalito.
Right.
We didn't go to LA. We didn't do the LA thing,
Yeah.
So LA resented us for that. I can't remember who the critic is, the music critic down in LA, and somebody might know, somebody might chime in. But there was a music critic in LA who just hated us. Rolling Stone magazine hated us. Nobody liked us because we were kind of just off doing our own thing.
Yeah. You did right. You didn't need the machine behind you because you guys, you could do it with the music and with everybody's individual talent, your musicianship.
That's right.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I keep coming back to that, but it's so obvious. The first time I saw you guys play live, I remember thinking everybody in this band is a mother. I mean, it's like the records sound great and the playing is great, but then you see you guys live and it's like another level in terms of how great everybody is. I mean, you, Chris, as a guitar player, Huey's singing, I mean, it's just Johnny, Sean, everybody. I mean, just everybody's musicianship, and it shows. I mean, that's what makes you guys the super group that you are. I keep saying super group, but you are. Everybody's a great musician.
Yeah. Yep. And friends first, which made it all the more fun,
Yeah, absolutely.
There was none of that ego. There was never any of that ego crap in our band, We had a self-bust system, and we acknowledged it. We would talk about it all the time on the tour bus. We'd say, if anybody's head starts to get a little swelled because, the record went to number 6 or whatever, and if somebody starts getting a little too mighty, well, the other 5 guys would slap them down, And that included Huey too. You know, we'd slap him down plenty. So that's I think that's a big part of the reason why we were able to go for so long.
Yeah. Yep. I think you're right. You guys always struck me as that kind of a band that, like, you know, friends first, like you say, just, you know, a bunch of guys that really dug playing together, dug each other,
hanging out. Conquer the world.
Yeah, and you did. I've spent many a time with you, you know, backstage, and I'd see all you guys hanging out. I remember you came to Zildjian one time. You brought Sean with you for a visit, and you know, like a lot of bands, as you well know, they don't hang out together on their day off. It's like you're going to go play golf, and he's going to go do this, but you and
I gave up a round at Myopia Hunt Club to do it that day. I got to tell you, so that was tough to pass up.
I appreciate that, buddy.
Oh no, I cherished every visit to Zildjian. I just absolutely loved it. The one thing I regret is I never got to take my dad there, but I did take Huey's dad. I don't know if you remember that day.
It was before I started, but I remember seeing the pictures of it. Yeah.
I did get to take Huey's pop, who was a frustrated jazz drummer just like my dad.
That's so great.
And I always wished I could have got my dad there, because he was the guy. When my father bought me my first set of drums, I was 14 years old, bought them for me for Christmas, totally sandbagged me. You know, I was just I was looking at Crest drums in the Montgomery Ward catalog.
Oh, going, yeah.
Dad, they're $199. What do you think? Can I get it? And he goes, I'm sorry, Bill. It's just not in the cards this year, you know? And so he had me so sandbagged. And I get up on Christmas morning, I go out in the living room, and there's a Ludwig Super Classic set with Zildjian cymbals set up in the living room. And my jaw must hit the floor. But my dad was the one who said, there's only one cymbal. Zildjian. Don't ever try and play anything else. There's only one cymbal ever. And I took it to heart, and I'm still playing them. I love them.
Here you are all these years later. I know. What a great story. And then you ended up signing with Zildjian. You've been a Zildjian endorser 40-something years, and big part of that family. And your dad must have been so proud, man, of just...
Yeah, my dad was through the moon.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my parents, I was really lucky. I was growing up in the mid-'60s, early 60s, when the British invasion happened. And most of my friends' parents, you know, rock and roll was pretty much taboo back then. It wasn't in commercials. It was not on television. You know, they'd show a band play every so often, but it was kind of like, oh, the Rolling Stones, and they make them change the words to the song. You know, they can't sing "Let's Spend the Night Together." They have to sing "Let's Spend Some Time Together."
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So it's all new, and it's pretty much taboo with most of it. And a lot of my friends' parents, you know, like I remember the guitar player in my first band asked his father for a guitar for Christmas. He says, "What, an electric guitar? It's over my dead body. I'm going to get you an electric guitar." So that was really the mindset of a lot of older people back then.
Yeah.
My parents were so cool that they not only bought me a drum set, but they took my sister and I to see the Beatles twice.
Wow.
My dad took me to see the Dave Clark 5 once. This is another great story. He takes me to the Cow Palace in San Francisco to see the Dave Clark 5. It's 1964. I'm 13. And here comes the Dave Clark 5, which I thought were great. You know, they had great songs. I liked a lot of their tunes. And so here comes the Dave Clark 5. And Dave Clark was a super handsome British kid. I mean, super handsome. So that was his appeal. It wasn't his drumming, believe me.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad hits me in the shoulder and he says, "You could do that. That guy's a carpenter. He's just up there hammering nails. You can do that." So he gave me all the confidence, you know, to attempt to do it, you know.
Yeah, that's so, like you say, so important to have your parents, you know, at that young age encouraging you like that rather than discouraging you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What a great...
I had a drum set in my bedroom that I played for probably 4 or 5 hours a day that I'm sure drove them nuts, but they never said it.
Oh,
And when
man.
I wasn't playing it, my dad was in there playing to Oscar Peterson,
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, God bless him. And that drum set, if I'm not mistaken, is the drum set we see in the Power of Love video, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Silver Sparkle, super classic.
I remember seeing that in the video thinking, like it was a vintage kit then, thinking like, wow, what a cool vintage kit. I assumed it was a rental to look like the period of, but that was your kit, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of kits, I have to show a picture of you. This is what I remember. This is pre Yamaha drums when you're playing your black Sonar drums.
Oh,
This is a photo, and I want to give credit to the late, great, beautiful Lissa Wales, photographer. Yeah, we love Lissa, and her sister Mary, and Carlos Guzman, who kind of managed all her photos, were kind enough to let us use this for today. And but this is, and I want to talk about these drums because these are what you used on Picture This and Sports.
That's correct.
And 4 too, or were you playing Yamaha by then?
No, Yamaha. I was playing Yamaha by then.
By then, okay. Well, but this kit is a Sonar kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Are they big size tom toms? They sure sounded on the records.
They're not super deep, but they're. Let's see. I think
13, 14 or 12,
I
13?
think it's 13, 14, 16, 18, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was no, I hadn't gone to 14-inch floor toms yet.
They sound,
and it was
so thunderous.
A Tama snare drum too.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, is it a brass shell snare?
No,
or is it
no, it's wood.
It's a wood shell. Okay.
Yeah, and then I had that sucker tuned down so low it was like, the Eagles.
Yeah,
That was the sound in that period of time, the early '80s, and it was, it had the built-in gate with the snares. You get the snares going.
Yeah. I was going to ask you because I didn't know if a lot of that came from the engineer or production or you. It sounds like a combination of you tuning it.
It's tuning.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's so big and fat sounding. Just perfect for that time. That was the sound, as you said. That's what you wanted for a snare drum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Sin drums there, which for working for a living and
Sin drums were for the claps. Yeah, hand claps.
Yeah, the claps.
Working for a living. I can't remember what the other one was for. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. That's
Sin drums. Oh, wow.
I know. I had to show that because that's
Cool.
that's a part of history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to play something, a song that a lot of drummers talk about, Walking on a Thin Line. I mean, all the songs from Sports have great drum parts, but Walking on a Thin Line, there's that fill you played after the instrumental, the one I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
I had a live version I was trying to play the video of it. I don't think it's going to work though, but you play this amazing fill, but the fill you play in the studio version, Bill, is lights out great as well. And maybe when we finish, you can just talk about the sticking to that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I know you sent me a video one time. You broke it down for me.
I'll show you. I'll show you on the drums.
That would be great. Okay, so we're going to play Walking on a Thin Line from Sports, and another just, great performance by the band, by you, and here it comes.
You're going to have to hire an engineer eventually. By the way, I'm so impressed by how you've built this brand for your from Live from My Drum Room. It's now a really proper thing. And, you've done it for a long time now. There's over 100 episodes. So, I'm really impressed by how you've built this into what it is. And
Thank you,
because
Bill.
it's very important, I believe. You've covered, it runs the gamut of drummers. And, everybody, which is amazing to start with. So, it's really, I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. And you were one of my first guests. I had you back in a month or so after I started doing it in 2020. I know. And I've come a long way in spite of me messing up playing the music just then. I'm starting to figure out what I'm doing. And I thank you for the kind words.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Sometimes in my bed at night, I curse the dark and I pray for the light. And sometimes the light's no consolation. Thinking about the memory, afraid of what it might do to me. And the tears and the sweat only mark my desperation. Don't you know me? I'm the boy next door, the one you find so easy to ignore. Is that what I was fighting for? Walking on a thin line, straight off the front line, labeled as freaks, loose on the streets of the city. Walking on a thin line, angry all the time. Take a look at my face, see what it's doing to me. Taught me how to shoot to kill, a specialist with a deadly skill. A skill I needed to have to be a survivor. So for now, so to say, well, sometimes it don't work out that way. 'Cause you're never the same when you've been under fire. No. Don't you know me? I'm the boy next door, the one you find so easy to ignore. Is that what I was fighting for? Walking on a thin line, straight off the front line, labeled as freaks, loose on the streets of the city. Walking on a thin line, angry all the time. Take a look at my face, see what it's done to me. Don't you know me? I'm the boy next door, the one you find so easy to ignore. Is that what I was fighting for? No. Walking on a thin line, straight off the front line, labeled as freaks, loose on the streets of the city. Walking on a thin line, angry all the time. Take a look at my face, see what it's doing to me. Walking on a thin line, walking on a thin line, walking on a thin line.
Wow.
Wow. Wow is right.
I haven't heard that in so long, and the fill that I've done probably for the last 35 years is completely different. That one was. Let me see if you can see it. That one was. Can you hear the drums?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was. That's all that was. I can't even do it. That was all that was. And in recent years, I would go.
Yeah.
That's what
I remember that one. Yeah. And with the lights flashing, in perfect time with you playing that, it was
Yeah, I forgot
incredible.
that's what I did on the album. Wow, that's what a trip. That's another study in eighth and quarter notes.
Yeah. Well, what you played on the record.
And it's simple. It's just simple, but it lends itself to the song. And
Yeah,
that was
yep.
like we were talking about earlier. That was my mindset when we would record these songs. Was just be simple, and if you did a fill, make sure it counted. It was not fancy stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
but but it was for the tune.
Yeah, for the tune. I was going to say, and that, that was just such a great fill. It was, I mean, I think it definitely had some spin to it, like some funny stuff, to use a pitching analogy. But and the great thing about that song, like you said, is that when you played it live, it afforded you the opportunity to play something maybe a little different if you wanted to, or like that nice space that you had there to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting story about that song. I remember we recorded the basic for that over at Fantasy in Berkeley, and we weren't using click tracks for that album, and the click track was the synth. You know how the song starts off?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Sean just going ding 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 with an arpeggiator on his synthesizer. Down, 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 down. And that's what I played along to. That was my click track.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your time is like, as Huey said many times, the Rock of Gibraltar. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's rock solid, rock solid.
You need to play some songs where I actually play drums, play more than eighth and quarter notes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, have you ever heard Bobo Tempo?
Bobo Tempo.
Yeah. On the Small World album.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. You want me to play that?
Yeah, play that.
Yeah, I'm going to play that. Okay.
That's all live. That's no overdub. The band played live. And we had a bunch of our friends in this come in and do the chorus. Yell. But that's got some good drum stuff.
All right. Here we go. We're going to play it right now.
All separate say, over the hills away. Hey, Bobo Tempo.
Man, I hadn't heard that song in a really long time, and I'd heard it back, I don't know when, but man, what a song. You played that so authentically, that reggae feel.
That was us jamming down in the studio.
Man.
One
That
take.
was one take burning, just killing.
Yeah. That was fun. I was like listening to that. It's got that lilt, it's the kick on the 2 and 4.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got that.
Oh.
I like that one.
And you're so comfortable playing that too. That's not an easy groove to just, when you're used to playing a certain way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to just
yeah.
fall into that the way you did. Yeah, man, that was great. Thank you for calling it audible.
Sure.
That was great, man. I had Perfect World on my list to play just because there's some great fills you play in that song. And
yeah, that's another one that's very cool. I think I told you at one point that I've been taking lessons, right? I've been taking lessons with Henrique de Almeida.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And last summer, Henrique asked if I would like to come down and teach with him. He does a week-long summer drum set intensive. And he asked if I would like to come down and teach the students some of the grooves, Huey Lewis grooves, And so I said, yeah, absolutely. So he also had Dave Garibaldi go down. So Dave and I went down together, and I got to spend a week with Dave, which was,
man, yeah,
just so much. I mean, it was just so insightful, and I learned so much. I've known Dave for years and years,
sure,
of course,
yeah.
But I got to know him on a level that I hadn't before, and it was, it's really great, really, really
wow.
great. So one of the songs we did was "Perfect World," and everybody was kind of marveling at the way I did it and how it changes feels so seamlessly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to play that. I'm going to play a couple more little bits too. We talked about this. I don't know if you remember, but when we did our first episode together back in 2020, we were talking about the neat little nod that Chris Hayes does to Jimi Hendrix during "I Want a New Drug," during the fade to, and I was just going to play that. I just think that's such a cool little bit that he does.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm going to find that spot. I think we'll just sort of let it go a little bit, but I think it's around the 3-minute mark.
It's right at the end of his solo, right?
Yeah. And just, another example of I just think how hip you guys are. Just to there's all these little sort of inside cool things that are happening, like the track we just listened to, and I'm sure the fans out there. I know there's a lot of Huey Lewis in the News fans watching right now that know inside and out everything you guys have ever done. But I think this is pretty hip because I pointed it out to a couple of friends of mine that didn't hear it, and like, oh my God, that's so cool. So this is let's see where we are on the tune here. So what we're listening for, folks, is a little tribute, a little homage to Jimi Hendrix, a little Purple Haze riff by Chris Hayes. So. Yeah. I mean, just guys are just super hip and super cool. I will play Perfect World, but I know someone had asked a question about the hi-hat part, which we sort of talked about during Power of Love. And I know you've heard this song a few times, but would you mind if we played it just as a
Perfect. Which one?
Power of Love.
Yeah, sure. You know, one thing that I always had a problem with mixers was most of the engineers that we recorded with never put a mic on the hi-hat.
Really?
Yeah, they just it'd bleed into the overheads, you know. But a lot of our stuff is driven with that eighth note feel, you know, and 16th stuff. It's driven by that, and I could never hear it enough. So that was always one of my big gripes on Mixdown was, where's my hi-hat?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not there in New Drug. It wasn't there in Do You Believe in Love? It's not there. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
But not that mattered.
Yeah, yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I heard it. Yeah, I guess you're right though. I wasn't really hearing it real distinctively in those songs, but like if this is it, you can hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to your point, Bill, yeah, it definitely could be more present in there. Yeah.
I've griped about that so often.
Damn those engineers.
But as it happened, it wasn't the hi-hat that sold the record. So
well, if we can talk about this song, and I know I've had you here for a while and we'll keep things moving along, but this song to me, it's a timeless, I mean, they're all timeless classics, but this is one that I hear it on the radio. I crank it up as loud as I can crank it up because it's just such a great song through and through. And you must have had a pretty good idea when you recorded this that you had a blockbuster, right? I mean, you must have felt something when you...
We had no idea what it would eventually become. We had no idea. You know, we were asked to write a song or two for Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And Robert Zemeckis called Huey and said, listen, I'm doing this movie. It's called Back to the Future. The lead character is this guy, Marty McFly. He lives in a town called Hill Valley, which was really supposed to be Mill Valley, where we all grew up.
Sure.
And if he had a favorite band, it would have been Huey Lewis and the News. And there, you know, there's a poster of ours on his bedroom wall in the movie.
Right, right.
So can you guys come up with the song? And Huey said, well, we haven't never written anything for a movie. We really, you know, I know we're working on a couple of songs. Let me, you know, flesh them out and we'll send you to him and see if it'll work. And Power of Love was one of them. And Johnny and Chris were demoing it up. Johnny and I lived across the street from each other at that time. We had, after sports started selling a lot, I got a call from my business manager, Jane Brown. She says, Bill, you have to go buy a house. I said, what? Huh? You're making a lot of money. You have to go buy a house now. So she said the same to everybody in the band. And Johnny's wife and my wife at the time were close friends. We were on the road. We were gone. So they basically bought two houses on the same street in the same town. So they could be close.
That's great.
And, you know, and I mean, I literally saw that house for the first time when I had a one night break from touring. I came home for one night. We did the All-Star game in San Francisco. I went home to my new house, slept there one night, went back to the airport the next day and flew back out to go on the road. I mean,
yeah.
That was crazy time.
Crazy times. I know, man. I know.
Johnny was demoing that song up, and I go over and kind of listen in and throw in my 2 cents, you know. And so we came up with that song, and Zemeckis loved it. He thought that was just going to be so. And I think the movie really helped get it out, obviously, but it was a good song. It was a good song.
Yeah, it really, I mean, again, another one of those songs that 40 years later, it stands the test of time. You know, it really has everything I think that you want in a great song, you know, and including a great drum performance by you. And let's cue it up here and give it a quick listen.
credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. That's the power of love. That's the power of love. First time you feel it, it might make you sad. Next time you feel it, it might make you mad. But you'll be glad, baby, when you're found. That's the power that makes the world go round. And it don't take money, don't take fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden, it can be cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. They say that all in love is fair, yeah, but you don't care. But you know what to do when it gets hold of you. And with a little help from above, you feel the power of love. Feel the power of love. Can you feel it? Don't take money, don't take fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. Tougher than diamonds and stronger than steel. You won't feel nothing till you feel love. You feel the power, just feel the power of love. That's the power, that's the power of love. You feel the power of love. You feel the power of love. Feel the power of love.
You know, again, very simple, very simple. No histrionics, man. You know, it played for the song. I can't believe that. That's a solid drum track, man. And then we weren't using click tracks for that. That was no click track there. That was just us playing in the studio.
Yeah, yeah, man. I know you told me that before too, and I'm not surprised because it has such a great feel to it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
it's a
really
great
so great. I mean, you always have a great feel, Bill. Always, always, always. But you know the things that you do in that song, and you made the motion of the hi-hats during the chorus. There's so many things about that song that remind me of like, you know, like we talked earlier, like what Hal Blaine and some of these like. By that time, you were so comfortable in the studio that you were doing things probably without even thinking about it, like opening the hi-hat. Yeah, like that part, it gives it this whole other thing, you know, like it like transitions to this other part of the song, you know, and the cymbal the cymbal grabs that you do at the end of the verse, like or at the end of the chorus when you come in, that you know, I mean, there's all these little things that you're doing that make the song sound so great.
Another little funny story. But by the way, thanks to Bob Clearmountain who mixed that track because he did a masterful job.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we recorded it, we recorded it with Jim Gaines, who just recently passed away. You know, and he was a mensch. He was just a fantastic guy. Who recorded several of our records with us, engineered, and he was just amazing. And I came in to listen to the playback of the basic on that track, and in the bridge, you know, they say that all in love is fair, you know, but you don't care, and I go boom bop, you know what 2, boom bop, do da do ba, boom bop, boom bop. Well, I couldn't. There was no floor tom. I was going, what's? I came in. I was just like, where's the floor tom? Because I hit it in that spot, and he looks up at the board, and he goes, oh shit, the input's muted. So he had the floor tom input muted on when we recorded that, but we said, look, the track feels so good. Who gives a shit about the floor tom?
Yeah.
We're going to keep it as it is. So there you go. Number one hit song with inputs muted.
Inputs muted. Oh my God. But it's a testament to like all the great old bands we used to listen to had these songs where you'd learn later that this didn't work, but because the track was so good, nobody wanted to fool with it. Like the performance, it was like the feel's great, man. Everybody just, oh, Bill, is it cool if we leave it this way? Because it. And you
nowadays you just cut and paste the floor tom and put it in there.
Right.
That's all you do.
Yeah,
it's cheating.
I know. No, that's a great story. That's such a great story because it's real. Like that's, yeah. You're listening to it going like, wait a minute, I know I played a floor tom right there.
Hit the floor tom right there. And so it kind of goes boom, nice big round sound. And then it kind of goes click.
Yeah.
Weird.
I would have never noticed that though. You know what I mean? What you play there. I always love that part too, where you play those little tom hits that just, again, fills it out so cool. Yeah. And so by that time, Bill, you hadn't started using the Craviotto stuff yet, right? That hadn't, the solid by 80, it was a little after 85 that all started to happen, right?
Yeah. 86, I think, is when I hooked up with Johnny.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier. I can't really remember how we met, but, he may have come to a show or something and we start talking and he says, well, hey, look, I refurbish old shells, like old Radio King shells and stuff. I refurbish them with like Tama hardware or he had a lot of old Slingerland Radio King shells and he did one for me and brought it to a gig and gave it to me with a little plaque on it that says built for Bill Gibson,
Yeah.
Craviotto, and it just sounded amazing. And then we started talking. He said, I've got this idea to build solid wood, not plied, solid wood shells, steam bent with no counter hoop, just a scarf joint and no counter hoop. And he had several boat builders who are keen at bending wood to build boats. Sailboats in particular, and I don't know, any kind of boat, they bend the wood. And he said, I've been told by several boat builders that this is not possible with a lot of the wood that I want to use, because I don't want to use green wood. He always told me, Noble and Cooley does this. Noble and Cooley build snares that are solid pieces of wood with a scarf joint and no counter hoop, but they use green wood. So eventually, and we bought a couple when we first put our company together. We bought a couple of Noble and Cooley snares right off the shelf. And sure enough, in about a year, 6 months to a year, they'd go out around because it was green wood and they finally dried. So we were using cured wood and the guys we had working for us developed a way to steam bend this wood so it would stay in round with no counter hoop, just a scarf joint.
Yeah.
We were doing it with, all kinds of wood, you name it. I mean, just all kinds of wood, and they were unbelievable. I mean, they were really great drums. I still have, probably 10 or 11 of them.
I remember, like every year that I'd see you on tour, you'd have like a new killing sounded like better than the last time, if that's possible, or just, an exotic wood Craviotto. So you're like, check out this. This is my, whatever, cypress or
Coca-Cola
or
rosewood. Very dense, tough wood to bend. But these guys did it. We had a patent on it that when we broke the company up, it became too expensive to build for the target buyer. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the guys we had who loved him were Richie Hayward from Little Feat's drummer.
Sure. Yeah.
Steve Smith bought a few, loved them. Neil Peart bought a bunch of them and sent me a letter, this eloquent letter about how great they were. Right. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we're on the right track here, but it was just too expensive. And it just pretty much tapped me out money wise at the time
Yeah.
to build them. And we just could never sell enough of them to even break even. But they were fabulous instruments. And if you can get your hands on one, it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I mean, you guys took the world by storm when it started happening. I mean, it was pretty revolutionary too, to have a drum like that. You know, there other companies are doing things similar nowadays, you know, almost 40 years later, but that was, yeah. I mean, I remember I'm meeting you at the NAMM show, maybe for the first time in the 80s, and everybody was at your booth checking the stuff out. I mean, and like you said, everybody was recording with them, and
Yeah.
it was a thing.
Yeah, we had a lot of Larry London.
Yeah.
was using them. We had a lot of guys using them, and they all loved them.
Yeah, I think Jeff Porcaro probably too. It must have had.
I don't know about Jeff. He never said anything to me about him, but maybe, quite possibly.
Maybe. Yeah, quite possibly. But and you know, and that, you know, rest his soul. You know, Johnny was a sweetheart, but that really kind of helped put him on the map to do what he did later and start building drums and
Yeah, we parted ways, and then shortly there, I had a gentleman by the name of Dave Patrick, who you might know.
Sure, yeah, I know Dave. Yeah,
Yeah, and he'd worked in the business for a long time, and he came on board and tried to salvage, you know, what we had going.
should we play maybe one more song? We'll play "Perfect World" and
Sure. Before we do, sweetheart, come here. I want you to meet John.
Hi, John.
This is John. John DeChristopher. This is my gal. She's my wife to be.
oh, congratulations, you guys!
This is Nancy. That's John. This is my longtime buddy, John DeChristopher.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for me to meet you, Nancy. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
What a beautiful couple. Look at you two. Oh,
Have a happy
actually, you two. I was going to say maybe Nancy should stay, and no.
Yeah, he says you should stay, and I can go
You can bugger off.
sweep.
Oh,
A lot
thank
better
you.
looking than I am.
Oh, you're both good looking. Everybody watching is saying congratulations. She's very pretty. Many comments here.
She's very pretty. She's very sweet too. We've actually lived together for a long time now, but never had gotten serious.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Fantastic. And Bill, I want to thank you for being so great about hanging with me. I know I told you we'd be about an hour, and of course we're going a little longer than that, but
No problem, man. I like I said, John, anything for you.
thank you, buddy. To Perfect World, you know, there's some great changes in there and some great fills, and let's give it a listen.
Everybody's looking for the perfect world. Where you can have everything your heart desires. The perfect boy for me
What a great snare sound, Bill, on that song. Wow. And that was probably a solid by that
Yeah.
time, right? Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Man, and a great drum sound, but I always love the sound of that snare drum on that song. And I feel like from after you guys released that in 88, I think was when that record came out.
No, that was
87?
86.
86.
4 album.
That was from 4.
no.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No,
It was
that
from Small World,
Small
right?
World. That's 88. Yeah.
88.
Sorry.
Okay. That's what I thought. And I feel like every time I saw you after that, that was a song you guys played pretty much all the time, right? Was that? Yeah. I look forward to all the tunes, but whenever I hear you guys start that song, like it was just it always sounded great live. And yeah.
That's how we actually started our show that way. We had, or did we start our show that way? Yeah, for a minute there we did, I think. Yeah. We had when we had the Tower Power horns with us. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I'll bet. I was going to play earlier. I was going to play "Trouble in Paradise," to feature the Tower of Power horns from the "We Are the World" record, the live version from '85.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll just play a second of that if we can, and then I promise I'm gonna let you roll because to me again another great performance by the band. It's a live song, so it really you guys are stretching and yeah. So this is 1985, "Trouble in Paradise."
Billy's home, he just got back from LA. A penny of lines, but nothing to say. Said I've seen this movie and it don't end nice. Looks like trouble in paradise. He used to be cool, he used to laugh a lot. Down at the kabuki in the parking lot. Now he's sitting and he's staring and he's paying the price. Trouble in paradise. Mama said it was so nice. Trouble in paradise. Yeah. American son, he's not very old. An American dream that's never been sold. The smile on his face is just his last disguise. We've got trouble in paradise. There's a scream inside that shouts, "Here I am." Some people say we got to do all we can. Me, I don't know. You see, I've been there myself once or twice. Trouble in paradise. Trouble in paradise. Mama said it was so nice. Trouble in
Yeah, that was Mark Russo playing alto saxophone. Actually, taking the sax solo. Johnny takes the first half of the sax solo and
Yeah.
ends on that high note, and Mark hits that same note and then takes it up.
Okay.
Beautiful. Mark's an old, dear friend of mine. He plays with the Doobie Brothers, has for years.
Yeah.
And he's a monster. He played with the Yellow Jackets for a while. And
Okay.
he's an absolute monster sax player.
What an amazing solo. And you know, to your point, Bill, when you listen to that song with headphones, you can hear Johnny start it like in one side, and then Mark comes in on the other side, and that, like you said, and it's so cool the way that, you know, the sort of changing of the guard, so to speak, and then he hits that note that's just insane.
Yep.
Wow. And you're playing 16th notes during that part? Is that?
Yeah, that's the typical old molar trebly.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's the solo.
So clean and even, you know.
And the choruses.
Yeah.
That's molar
Man.
threes.
Fantastic. Well, I want to say thanks again so much for being here today with me and doing this and making so many fans happy. Lots of folks watching that really dug this, including myself. So
Well, thanks for having me again. It's always great to see you. It's been a long time. And I'm definitely going to make a trip back to Boston here within the next year or so.
Okay.
So, like I said before, when I do, I'm calling you.
Yeah, we're going out to dinner. Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Well, hang
All
with
right,
me for
pal.
1 second. I'll end the stream. Just hang tight. I want to thank everybody for watching. Big hand, everybody, for Bill Gibson for being so generous with his time today. And thank you guys for watching. This will be up on YouTube and all the podcasts platforms later. But Bill, thank you, buddy. And
welcome,
hang tight
John.
for 1 second. Thank you. All right, well, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can listen to the podcast on all podcast platforms. And a reminder, Live from My Drum Room t-shirts are available in sizes extra small to double XL, $25 in the US. That includes shipping. Here is my Venmo payment information at John-DChristopher-2. And don't forget to include your size and your shipping address. Very important information. 100% of the proceeds for all t-shirts go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. You're donating to a great cause when you buy one of these t-shirts. So once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Remember, no drummers are harmed on any episode. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. See you soon.